So, toll station done. And with that, I'm leaving Andalusia now. I'm heading back home. And I thought it's probably a good time to talk about my final thoughts or about the conclusion that I have on this car, and it turned out to be really difficult. So I don't really know where and how. So let me take you through what I think. So in itself, this car is obviously very good. I enjoyed the heck out of it. It's really great. I mean, we've seen it. It's quiet. It's comfortable. It's practical. It fits 4 people. It has a big boot. It's economical, it's very fast, it handles well, it looks good, and it sounds good. So that's a lot that this car has going for it. It's going to be a little bit more problematic once you step through the single things. Let's start with the looks, okay? So I said before that this is going to be the best looking BMW that we're going to see in a long time. And it looks so good because you still get the old BMW looks. You still get the smaller kidney grille, not the beaver thing. You still get the classic headlights. You get a pointy bonnet so that it looks more dynamic. But unfortunately, with the old exterior looks, you still get the old interior as well. And I already said in the X5 that I think this interior design is a little bit boring. But never mind that, this interior has been with us now for over a decade. Like this rhombus-shaped tacked-on sat-nav screen or infotainment screen here with the climate controls below and these like buttons, these quick buttons here. This design has now been with us for over a decade. Like I think it was introduced in the F Generation 3 series that was in 2011. Mercedes had 3 or 4 different interior designs in the same time period. So there was the W212, which had the blocky interior that I didn't really like that much. Then there was the W213, which was the Mercedes that I had on my channel. I liked this interior a lot. Then you had the newer design interior-wise now with the new S-Class that came out a couple of years ago, and the current C-Class with the floating center screen. And you have the electric interior design from the EQS and the EQE with the hyper screen and that stuff. So that's actually four different designs in the same time period. So, and you still get this one, which is basically like 10 years old. I mean, it's functional, it's not bad, the materials are okay for the most part, but it's a bit outdated. So then let's continue with the second most important thing or most dominant thing about this car, and that's the engine. And we've seen this engine is pretty great. It's very economical, it's very fast, it sounds really good, which is probably the best thing about it. I never thought that the sound would make such a huge difference in driving it. Like that's pretty. I didn't think it was that impactful, but it is. But this engine, as I said before, is known to have some issues. Now, what you can do with this car, of course, is that you can go for the 6-cylinder, which are known to be pretty reliable, the 840. From the speed, I mean, you've seen on that mountain road, I never got to 4,000 RPM or over it. So even on autobahns, you're going to be fine. It has, I think, 340 horsepower, or I don't know if they put the engine from the M340 in it with 375 horsepower. It'll be enough. But then it doesn't sound as great anymore. And the sound is as I figured, a very important thing. You can have this engine, of course, in the 5 Series, so I think in the 6 Series, the 7 Series not anymore, but in the 5 Series or 6 Series. And in the 5 Series, which is like from the interior, basically the same boot size, same space in the rear. I have to compare the footage, but I think it's about the same. But the 5 Series with the same engine costs 25 grand less. But then again, the 5 Series doesn't look as good as this. And talking about the price, now things are getting really complicated, because this starts out at about 130 grand, and you can have a BMW M5 for 127 grand, which means that the BMW M5 is cheaper than this, and it's more powerful. It has 600 horsepower, and it's faster because you can take off the limiter or key. You can increase the limit to 305 kilometers an hour, which is about 195 miles an hour. Whereas this is limited to 155 miles an hour, 250 kph. And to make things even worse, you can have this same engine in the Alpina B5. Only in that it produces 621 horsepower, which is even more than in the M5 and in this. And it doesn't have a speed limiter at all. It's going all the way up to 330 kph, which is 205 miles an hour. And you can have this engine from the Alpina B5 also in the Alpina B8. So then you get the looks and the sound and the noise. There's also BMW M8,
and
of course,
you
which
get
has
no
more
speed
power
limit,
than the M5, more
but
power
that
than
one
this.
starts out at
If you want a
172.
fast practical, then you can go for the looks of this.
B8
if you want
and
B5.
more driving
If you
dynamics,
looks
and
but
fast,
don't get the
and
looks
the
of
same
M5.
price, only get this.
But
And we haven't even talked about the
AMG GT yet.
I think for the same price as you get the 53,
but not the
normal
63, which has
so for the same money that you get the
horsepower, which is more than this, but costs 630
the
grand,
E8,
which
640
has
horsepower.
it's more than the Alpina, more than the M, more than everything. So now I talked more about other cars than this. All I think I can do now is, and that brings me full circle back to where I started, to look at my experience with this car. And from where I'm sitting, for what I experienced in the last 2 weeks, all I can say is it's quiet, it's practical, it's comfortable, it's economical, it's very fast, it sounds great, it looks great. And aside from this dated interior, what more can I ask from a car? I don't know. And I leave it at that. So tschüss, ne?